This is episode 46, and we are now looking at wrapper classes. So wrapper classes provide a way to use primitive data types. Remember your integers, your booleans, your car, your short, and so forth and so on as objects, right? So sometimes you must use wrapper classes. For instance, if you are working with collection objects such as array lists, hash maps, hash sets, and so forth and so on, you cannot create a hash set or a hash basically you cannot create a collection using the primitive. You actually have to make use of the wrapper class. So they are rightly called wrapper classes because they take your primitive data type and they wrap it within a class, as it were. And by doing that, you actually turn a primitive into an object. And as you will realize, you can actually do more with objects than with primitives. So let's actually go ahead and start by creating a double called price, right? And let's set it to 1099. So I want you to notice the syntax for creating a wrapper class is, instead of using the traditionally would go about it like so, or ordinarily would use double, something like this, and we'll say maybe equal to 9.1, is it? But now since we want to make use of the wrapper class, and because classes in Java, they begin with a capital letter, you'd realize that instead of having double in all small letters, we have double with a capital letter D. So that's how you can create a wrapper class in Java. So again, you can create an integer as a wrapper class. So integer items is equal to maybe 7. You can also use the character wrapper class. Maybe we'll put a $sign there, right? So you can do any primitive data type, you can convert it or you can use the wrapper class, as it were, so that you can turn that primitive into an object. So let's actually go ahead and just sys out price, right? So you'd realize that when we do this, we simply get 1099 printed down there in the console, as you would expect. So let me just clear out the console so that it's not cluttered like that. So you can see 1099 right there, as you'd expect. Then it also goes for the items, the symbol, and so forth. Then another way, alternatively, since now it is an object, we have certain methods that are available to us. So we could go price, then dot, right? So notice we can actually get the double value, which basically returns the double value method, which basically returns whatever value is stored within the price variable right there, right? So if we run this again, we should get 1099 down there in the console. Then you can also do other operations like maybe converting a number into a string. So let me just do sys out, then price dot, you see that we have the toString method right there. So it allows us to convert our double value, right? Because now it's an object, we can actually convert it to a string. And you remember that strings in Java, they are what? They are reference types. They are not primitive types. So if we do that, we would actually still get 1099 printed down there in the console. So there's actually a whole host of other methods that would be available to you now that you've made it an object. It's no longer a primitive, right? So you can see that you can compare two values using the compare method. You can check, you can use the it is infinite, and so forth and so on. So yeah, that's the essence of wrapper classes. So remember, wrapper classes are available for all the 8 primitive data types we have in Java, right? So we are talking about your int, you are talking about your short, you are talking about your byte, you are talking about your double, your boolean, your character, right? All the primitive data types, they have their equivalent wrapper types, wrapper classes. And maybe just to demonstrate, maybe let's say you wanted to create an array list of integers, right? To show that you cannot use the primitives as you cannot use primitives with collections. So let's say new array list, just like that. So immediately you see that we are getting that error right there, right? And it's saying that we cannot use this as as an argument, as it were, to creating this array list element, because we need a reference type. So if we change this to a wrapper class that is integer, you realize that now we have that collection created, as it were. So having done this, we can then move on to add elements dot add. Then we can add the first item. Then we can the first item at index position 0, we can add the items, which is this integer right here, items, right? So that's how you can go about it. Then of course you could iterate through this because it's now a collection using an enhanced for loop. But I think that's just about it for this tutorial. I'll see you in the next one.